Hello, everybody. I will be holding the microphone up for a long time and bouncing on the chair, it looks like. So I'm Blake Allen. I'm from Colorado Springs area of Colorado. I've been licensed in real estate for 35 years. I've been a member of the National Council of Exchangors for about 14 or 15 years. And this is the primary way that I do business, is through exchanging. So we have a lot of the older experienced members here. You're going to be miserably bored with this basics of exchanging. So I would hope that all of you with experience help me teach it at the same time, because it is it's information all of you are aware of. Anyone who's new and hasn't done this kind of business, I see a few of you out here, not a lot of you. Those of us who do this generally make a lot more money than other brokers. We do a lot more business. We have high volume of business. We're so busy, we don't have a minute to go look for new business. We've just got tons of business coming to us. So if that's not your situation, please reach out to some of us, because we have a lot of business to share, and learn what we do, and you'll see the demand for your time will just become enormous, where you just aren't going to have enough time to serve all your clients, which, you know, has its own problems, but it's a good situation to be in. So I guess just so give me an idea, how many people here have not been to exchange meetings before? Is this your first exchange meeting? Wow, just one person, his first exchange meeting. How many have only been to the local meetings? Have you been to the local meetings? Okay, just a few of you to the local meetings, all right. And how many of you have actually been to the NMCE meetings? I think a good portion of you, okay. So you see the ratio of bored people to not bored people here? So we're going to target you there, young lady. Sonia, you're going to be, and another thing, so a guy my age, here, I'm a young guy in this group. This is a group we all like to join, because unless you're Rick's age, you're going to be a young guy. So, or a young person, I should say. So anyhow, all right, what I'm going to go over today is just the basics of how we do business. It's a lot different than what we say in, tongue-in-cheek a little bit of plant and pray real estate. We expect you to do for your client a little bit more than to plant a sign in the yard and pray that it sells, more than to put it in the MLS and some of the rest. We expect you to actually get to know your clients and help them through their life with their real estate needs. And it's a very effective way of doing business. It gets you lifelong clients, and it's just real effective. So I'm going to go through this. It should, we've scheduled 3 hours. Hopefully it's not going to take that long. One thing I'd like you to do is open your notebook, and you'll see in there, a few pages in, there's what's called a value perception sheet. We're going to be filling that out here in a little bit. Everybody's a little bit different. And then also there's a bunch of slides to go through. So that one that's gray, because it was taken from, that shows you how old that thing is. So that gray sheet is something that's been passed around in exchange education for a long time. It's called a value perception chart. It's something, a little exercise we're going to go over. Alrighty, here's the big title. Here's my disclosure. I love reading this to people. All of what we're talking about here is real estate held for investment. This is not for an owner-occupied home. This is not something that's going to apply to Dodd-Frank. Okay, this is only real estate held for investment, stuff that's eligible to do a 1031 exchange. Although we don't always have to do a 1031 exchange, but that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about a house with a person where the person who owns it lives in it. We make sure we don't talk about that. I'm not an attorney or a tax expert, okay? I'm a real estate broker just like you. I don't know anything more than any of you do. And I always say, this is our disclosure from Tom and I's last class. I changed the pronouns, but you really shouldn't listen to me at all about anything. And I take no responsibility for your further actions, for your future actions. So, there's your disclosure. Don't listen to me. And now for the next few hours, waste your time listening to me. Here's my phone number. I didn't add my email on there. How to get a hold of me. You'll have more contact in the book. It gives my cell phone number, which I don't publish out there. 2 groups, National Council of Exchangers. Your group is an affiliate member of the National Council of Exchangers. You're already affiliate members there. They meet in Las Vegas 4 times a year. Next meeting is October 18th through the 21st. There is a full day of education where you get a full 8-hour class, which goes towards your EMS kind of designation on when you go there on the 17th or the 18th of October of this year. So I recommend everybody go out to Las Vegas. We'll have over 100 brokers meeting and you know, $1 billion worth of inventory. Society of Exchange Counselors is a group that's been around a little bit longer. They're celebrating now 60 years. It's an invitation-only deal, but a lot of us have been able to go to there, and if you do this long enough, you'll spend a lot of time at their meetings as well. This is for our local stuff. We have our Mile High Exchangers. They do Zoom every Wednesday, and Pikes Peak Exchangers, we do it first and third Fridays. You guys meet every Thursday, so your local group, just insert that at the bottom there. Okay, how these things work. Most people know this, but I'll read it to you. We each have a number. We bring packages, which are identify sets of benefits. They do include a property most of the time, but really they're not just a property flyer. This isn't an MLS flyer. We're talking a package, a set of benefits. It's the client and the property. Our packages, so we each have a number. The packages have numbers too, okay? We're going to come up here and have a moderated presentations. I'm assuming we'll have a podium on that. Yeah, so we'll pull the podium out. So a person's going to stand up here and present their package. Another more experienced member of the group is going to moderate them. The moderator asks the questions, the presenter answers, and then we take numbers. Okay, so we're all getting you, we already know what we do here, and that's what we're getting set up to do, okay? Any of you who didn't know, that's what you're going to be doing the next day and a half, is it's going to be one presentation after another. The real basics of what we do here, the two basic sides of exchanging are counseling and formulas, okay? I like to say the light side and the dark side of the force, okay? Counseling is the light side of the force. Counseling is how you get to know people, how you help them, how you improve their lives. The formulas are the mechanisms, the firepower, the weapons, however you want to call it, the tools that we use to get it done. If you just use the tools and you don't try to do it right through counseling, you might just be Darth Vader, okay? So we want to make sure that we have both the counseling element and the formula element. Counseling is asking questions, listening, and doing your best to understand your client. Doing your best to understand your client, who they are. Formulas are methods of delivering benefits through real estate transactions. Just ways of delivering benefits through real estate transactions. And these are the basics of what we're talking about when we're talking about equity marketing and exchanging. Now, when we say equity marketing, what we're pointing out is we're marketing just that portion of the property that your client owns. It is tied with the whole property, but there's also debt and there's a bank, lender, other people need to be satisfied. We can only trade that portion of the property that we own, which is why we all refer to equity marketing, okay? We're exchanging the full property a lot of times, but we're really marketing just the equity. I think everybody here should know this. This is the little map of what you do when you do a 1031, okay? You have a property with equity and debt, you sell it, you give the money to a qualified intermediary, and then you go buy another property, okay? We can do this with cash, we can do this with paper, we can do the rest of it. For tax purposes, sometimes this is what we're doing in this room, okay? When you exchange a property for a property, sometimes you treat it as a 1031, sometimes you don't, depending on the circumstances of the individual client. We still use the 1031 process quite a bit, but what we're talking about with simultaneous exchanging is not just a 1031 exchange, it's a little bit more. All right, everybody following there? Questions or comments?
Question. I'm trying to clarify, if you're doing a direct exchange, you don't have to use a qualified intermediary. If you're using a down payment as a lot.
Yeah, you don't have to use a qualified intermediary in a direct exchange. You just might want to do it just to make it your tax form look a little better. But yeah, and when you do a simultaneous exchange, there's no need for a qualified intermediary because there's no proceeds that are held by a third party at all. You just go to a title company, you put a lot down, and if you're buying a house with a lot, for instance, you put the lot down, you bring a new loan, and one person leaves there with one deed, and the other one leaves with the other deed, and some money, and there's no 1031 exchange because there was nothing to defer. Now you take the person who took that property in and took the cash, they're going to have a tax consequence probably. They could 1031 that cash portion, and they could 1031 the deed, but they don't have to. Okay, and so it really depends. Sometimes in these days, since we all feel that taxes might be higher in the future than they are now, I have a whole bunch of clients who are choosing just not to do a 1031. They're gonna sell the property, they're gonna pay the taxes, and then they're gonna have the full basis in the property that they trade into. Okay, so they've paid at the 20% tax rate, anticipating it's gonna be higher in the future, and now instead of having a lower basis in the property they're buying, they have a high basis. Okay, so that's just one of the nuances. I don't want to get everyone confused as I ramble on, forgive me. Let me go to the next one. So, as Tom Van Erp always teaches us, that's Tom Van Erp sitting over there, experienced note guy. Asking questions is the first step in any real estate endeavor, okay? You gotta ask questions. Why are you doing this? Why would you sell this wonderful property? What are you gonna do with the money? Why are we doing this? Is it the right thing for you to sell this thing? Your regular realtor has somebody come in and says, I want to sell my house. They say, okay, sign here. And it used to be press hard, there are 3 copies. Now now you just push a button. It's different, but you want to find out why they're doing it, because you don't want to do harm. You want to help them. And if it's the wrong thing to sell their house, if that's the conclusion, then they ought to make the right decision, even if the right decision is you don't earn a commission. Okay. Ask questions. Counseling before the meeting. We really want you to get to know your clients. So when you come here to the meeting with an exchange package, and somebody gives you an offer, and it's a piece of land in Tucumcari, and they got a house in the South Valley, you need to know. Pretty good idea. Are they going to take that lot out in Tucumcari? Because how motivated are they to get out of the South Valley? Okay, these are just areas I made up here that I know. But you see what I'm saying? Those things are important. In the moderation, when you're moderated during the meeting, you only have a few minutes to get it out. If you have to think about the answers to the questions and come up with the answers in your head, you're probably going to waste some of your clients' time at the podium. So anticipate what questions might be asked of you and know the answers, okay? How much debt is there? How much income? How big is it? How many acres? What do the people do? Can they get a new loan? Some of these questions that people are going to ask. The goal of the moderator is to make the presentation the best that it can be, to focus on the benefits offered by the property and its ownership, and to identify takers, okay? You have a number of people in this group that are really good moderators, okay? So you're lucky here in New Mexico, you have a very strong group with experienced people who can help you with this. The whole goal is to identify takers, but you want to put, when you're up here at the podium presenting your package, we don't want to hear about how pretty it is, okay? Some of that pretty is not really a benefit, and other than the jokes. But what do they want? Do they need cash flow? Some people don't need money. Some people money's a burden. They need something different. They need a different set of benefits. So you put the benefits out there that this property and this package and this people offer, looking for people who want to take those benefits, okay? We do not care. The person who's the taker doesn't care what you want. So the person at the podium who says, I want this, that, and the other thing, we don't care, okay? We care if we want their property. And if we want their property, can they find a way to take our property and make it work, okay? Because again, you can stand up there and say what you want, and again, I'm going to have to be mean. I know some people think I'm mean. Yeah, we don't care. So we'll get to that part of it here in a minute. Okay, now what I'd love all of you to do, because I set this up early, is get your little value perception things out, a little chart, and what we've got is 20 items. This list has been around for a long time. It's a very good list. I was thinking of making a new list, and this list is just pretty darn good. So here's 14 vehicles, okay? The assumption is you're going to buy these with money, okay? You got a big pile of money. What are the things that you want first? And go ahead through this list of 14, and if you take a few minutes, take about 3 or 4 minutes, write down your 10 favorite things in the order of preference from top to bottom. So on the top of that little piece of paper in those little columns, And then you may want to write other people's, then when there's more than one column is you can compare to other people. But go ahead and just write in the columns, starting at the first, what you like best, okay? If you say, I really like cash, number 12 would be number 1. If you really want free and clear houses, number 7 would be number 1, okay? So go through this, please, each of you do it and write down, each of you should have one to scribble on, or write on a little piece of paper, and just take a couple of minutes to do that. I know it's kind of a pain when people, instructors, make people in the class actually do something and participate, but I'd like you to do this because I think it illustrates real well the point I'm trying to make here. Okay, all right, well I think everybody's about done with it. Who wants to be picked on to give us your list of numbers? Okay, so we have 4 examples. We have 4 examples there that we just got, and let me go and look at them. Okay. First of all, if you notice them, how similar are these groups of numbers?
Not very.
No, not very. So the first 3 have a 7 in the first 4. 2 of them have a 1, and 2 of them have a 3, 2 of them have a 5, okay? That's what these people have in common. And we're a relatively homogeneous group being experienced real estate brokers, okay? And yeah, you go through the whole, so let's just go through some of the stuff and then let's see what it tells us a little bit about people and about what they've been doing, okay? So Victor, he likes break-even property in a fast-growing area first, okay? He likes free and clear houses second. You'll take free and clear income property, and then free and clear triple net Walgreens, okay? Number 4, paper notes, deeds of trust. Okay, let's just go over his first 5. Okay, now Broderick. Broderick starts with, he likes subdividable free and clear land. That's actually not that different from the break-even property in fast-growing area, subdividable free and clear land. Number 5, he also likes break-even property in a fast-growing area. And then he free and clear houses, makes it up there. So does a protective farm, he's from Kansas. And triple net, everybody's pretty good on triple net. Now let's look at Brandon, who's younger. Brandon likes free and clear income property, as we all do. He likes free and clear houses. He likes free and clear triple net Walgreens. He likes paper notes, deeds of trust, and productive farm with 40% debt. And 20%, I'd say the productive farm is probably the first one that fits out of the role. There's a hierarchy, Brandon, generally of values. Some people try to print it out and say, oh, that this one's worth more and this one's more important than this one. It's different for everybody, but you've pretty much hit as close as you can probably to what, if we took all the numbers together, what the aggregate would be, okay? Because generally people do prefer free and clear income property, free and clear houses. Paper, notes, deeds, and trust, some of that kind of stuff. So now let's go to Celicia. She's got a different set of them. She wants that 20% or 8% triple net lease, 50% debt at 4.5%. Okay, now why does she want that instead of the free and clear triple net Walgreens? And I'm going to answer for her whether she would answer or not. There are more benefits to the half leveraged property. There are more benefits, in my opinion, to this one instead of the, where's the one that's the free and clear? Instead of 3, okay? And that's if you make other money elsewhere, okay? If you're in a vacuum and you don't make any money elsewhere, then those are reversed. But if you're making good money, number 8's better than number 3. If you're not, number 3's better than number 8. Number 10, gold, silver, precious metals. Notice most of them came up with those generally in the second half, but pretty much everybody will take precious metals. And what nobody said, and I think it's because of the meeting, Celicia did at the end, I suggest that all of us, I hate to admit it because of the philosophy we do, but damn near every one of us will take number 12 first, right? If someone writes you a paper, like when you go work for a commission, which is what most of us do, what are we doing? We're working for cash with a tax consequence, okay? So we kind of lie to ourselves a little bit on this because we really if somebody offers us cash, we'll always take it, you know. But, okay, what was 11? Subdividable free and clear land. We all like that in this kind of a group. That's another thing where the difference in New Mexico versus New York, okay? New York, nobody's gonna say free and clear subdividable land, okay? Because that's like a 7-year project. Here in New Mexico, everyone's gonna say, gosh, if I could take that piece of land, cut it up, sell it in little pieces like these fools are buying these little pieces at that price, heck, I'll go ahead and do that. That's great. Number 4, paper notes, deeds of trust. So those are some of my favorites. They make it in the top 5 of everybody, I guess. And to me, that's just currency that bears interest. It's better than money. So anyhow, I can go through all these specifics, but the whole point here is, are these people all the same? Do they have the same wants, needs? Does everyone want the same thing? No. If everyone wanted the same thing, would we be here? No. We couldn't be here because we couldn't do anything because nobody would want something different. So I've thought of a new way, and this is the first time I guess I'm saying it in front of a group. I'm thinking I might, with clients and eventually with NC Interest, create a sort of a universal list here, and maybe about 20 things that generally show up in the meetings. And then we could actually have our clients or ourselves write down this kind of a profile. And this is almost an algorithm for who the person is, okay, for what they desire. And if you say, hey, I've got an 8, okay, I got this thing right here, exactly there. I say, oh shit, Celicia, I need to talk to you because you put me as number 1 on your list, okay? And that's why we do these exercises. And I recommend you do this with all of your clients, always when you get to know them and just meet them, and then talk to them. And the benefit of it is when you talk about these different asset classes, why? Okay? You picked that one, why'd you pick it? And then shut up and let them talk. And by the time you're done with and you need to spend hours with these people, by the time you're done spending a few hours with them, going over these kind of things, you're gonna know pretty darn well what they might take when they come to an exchange meeting, in addition to who they are, what the benefits are, and why they may or may not want to do the transaction. Okay, one thing I do with my clients, and it's a little different than most people, I put them on an hourly and a retainer when I first take them on. And to get them to pay me an hourly wage, we can't talk about that part in a group of competitors, but they pay me a wage, and then after I have a success fee, I'll give them back their hourly wages, their hourly fees they've given me. That way, if we go through counseling and we find out that the right thing, Ma and Pa Kettle, is don't sell the farm, lease the oil, okay? You know, Mr. Client, but lease that, you know, do something different. Or don't sell, hang on to it, refinance. Many times the conclusion with the client is hang on to what you got and refinance it. Okay, as a real estate broker, how much of a commission do I make when they refinance? I make nothing, okay? So if I'm putting myself in a position where if I have them make this decision, I get paid, or if I have them make this decision, I don't get paid, and I'm the counselor, guess what happens most of the time? You're going to counsel them in a way that you get paid. By putting the hourly wage there, you take that off the table. And you can now get paid and say, we love you. And guess what's going to happen in the future? Who do you think they're going to come back to when it's time to sell? Are they going to be grateful for what you did for them? They sure will. And they're going to tell their cousin. And within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, somebody else is going to call you. And you're going to get another client because you did the right thing. So just like your parents told you, always do the right thing. That was just a little exercise to go through here to get everybody thinking and actually to make you wake up and participate. Because guess what? All of you look a lot more awake now than you did about 20 minutes ago. Isn't that amazing how that works? Yeah, so everybody's paying a little more attention. I appreciate it. And anyone want to make any comments, please, all of you guys, you guys have been through this a lot. Anything I forget that you want to make as a point, please bring it up. Okay. We're gonna go through some basic slides that I've got from Intro to Equity Marketing for Investors and Exchangers. We're gonna start with stuff we know. Basic benefits of real estate. Income, appreciation, depreciation, and amortization. I'm assuming most of us have heard this spiel a little bit before, right? Income, the money you got coming in. If any of you took from Carmelo Moss CCIM class, she's great with it. That she has all these different expressions. Your whoop out money is how much you put out and all this other stuff. Anyhow, income, cash coming in. Depreciation, we're hoping it's going to sell more in the future. Depreciation is just a tax situation. We can allow to deduct them over time. Amortization is something that people ignore a lot of times, and that's really a huge benefit of real estate, is it pays your debt off over time. Remember, I always say, please don't say what are the benefits and then say it's cash. Cash is not a benefit. Cash can buy benefits, okay? It's not in and of itself. It's a worthless piece of paper with ink on it, okay? It's not in and of itself. What we also want to talk about, so those are the traditional benefits we talk about in the CCIM world or commercial real estate. We just talk about, this is relative to the property, okay? This is what the property does for us. There are also real world benefits, okay? Does the right owner own the property, okay? The Richard Reno, who's the guru, the grandfather of all this stuff, said there are no problem properties, okay? It's always a problem of ownership. The examples we'll give is a brownfield, okay? A contaminated piece of ground, okay? For most of us, that's not a good thing, okay? It's a bad property, it's a problem property, we gotta get out of it. There are guys whose job it is to go get federal money and clean up those kind of properties. That's exactly what they want. They're the right owner. You're not, okay? And that's the most extreme example, but all along the road, there's people, you got the rancher types, you got the, people who are better at being administrators and stuff. Just different kinds of property fit different kinds of people. And what we're trying to do here in this room is find the right owner. We are trying to sell properties and do some of that, but we're really trying to find the right owner. Okay, counseling is a big part of what we do. So what is counseling? Counseling is really just sitting down and asking questions, letting people answer, and then asking why they would do that and going into it. This is a little negative. Sometimes I try not to be too negative, but some clients are easier to counsel than others, okay? We all know we have clients that we like and clients that aren't very easy to work with. Some clients can't be counseled, okay? If they already know everything, you can't teach them anything, okay? So if you have a client who already knows everything, don't work with them, okay? Or else just realize you're doing, it's selling your soul to the devil a little. You're like, okay, this is terrible, but I'm going to get paid money. So realize what you're weighing there. But I'd say just don't work with them. There's so many people out there who need help. There's so many deals to do now. It's just no reason to work with someone who's not nice. Okay, so when a doctor asks the questions of the patient, okay, and you go to a doctor's office, they ask you questions. How smart is it to not answer correctly? Okay? Are you going to get cured if you lie to your doctor? Probably not, okay? The same thing is the case when we've got clients, okay? If they're not capable of telling you the truth, if they're not capable of telling themselves the truth, you're not going to be able to cure them. So go ahead and, spend time out. Go sit in the backyard or something. You're better off doing anything than spending time with them. Why would the clients do this? Why would they tell us? So when I ask them, what are you going to do with the money? Why would they do that? Okay? Why are they going to tell me everything about themselves and their family and the rest? Why are they going to do that? And to illustrate that, I give Ted Blank, gives a really good 7-hour counseling class. If any of you ever get a chance to take it, you need to take it. He gives the example. He says, well, when a gentleman, my age or the age of most of the people in this room, go to the doctor, okay? When we go to the doctor, we take our clothes off and lie down on the table, okay? Having an idea what's going to happen. Why would anybody do that? Okay? No circumstances in the world are any of us guys ever going to do that, ever. Except in the doctor's office, right? Because the doctor's a professional. The doctor's got his white jacket, he's got his degree, he's got everything. There's nothing nefarious And, the doctor's there to help you. He has a Hippocratic oath to do no harm. That's the reason you do it. Why are they going to expose themselves financially to us? Because we're professionals, because they can trust us. They can see a history of helping people. They know you've got their best interest at heart. If they think you're just a salesman, they will not share these things with you, and you won't be successful in this group or in these kind of venues. This isn't for salesmanship. If you've got something that's going to just sell for cash, go out and be a salesman. But that's not what we're talking about here as far as counseling. Alrighty, any questions on the blank illustration? Discussing motivations. Okay, we all know that nobody does anything if they're not motivated to do it. Okay, motivations drive the market. Nobody just says, I'm going to sell my house if they don't have some reason that they want to sell their house. Nobody's going to sell their strip center if they don't have some reason. So motivations drive the market. What I want you to do is when your client comes up and asks you to take a listing, before you take the listing, ask them a whole bunch of personal questions about what's going on here. What are we going to do? We also, so in this group, we're going to ask people at the podium to discuss the motivations of their clients. And I know in Colorado law, and I'm pretty sure it's in New Mexico as well, and Arizona and anywhere else we're represented here, we're not allowed to talk about their motivations. We're not allowed to talk about their willingness to sell for anything less than the full price. There's certain rules about that. What you need to do is put in your listing agreement clauses that say, yes, I am allowed to discuss your motivations, including the reasons you want to buy or sell, including your willingness to take something less than the full price in cash, in the context of marketing sessions, for the purpose of getting you a beneficial transaction. We don't just go tell people their personal stuff for no reason. If it's not relevant in this room, we don't share it. If it's relevant to the deal, it needs to be shared. We need to have permission so that we can be allowed to present it. So if you're up here at the podium and you have a listing and you haven't had your client permit you to discuss their motivations, the only real answer a lot of times you're going to be able to say is, I'm going to have to get back to you on that, or some of those things. And that's what I want you to do now if you haven't discussed the motivation. So if in this marketing session, that's the circumstances, either get on the phone and call your client at the break and say, hey, can I just get your verbal permission? Or just don't do just keep that part in the back of your head, make notes about it, but don't talk about things you're not supposed to without permission. Just a general rule we want to do. So, obtain permission to disclose your client's motivations. The whole point of this, discussing benefits sought and motivations leads to more benefits offered, okay? So, you talk about why people are doing something. A lot of times, it says not only are we offering the benefits in the property, we're offering the additional benefits of taking your property at this certain type. So this is just another way to talk about more benefits. And if they're really motivated, a lot of times, in the sales market, that means give them a lowball offer. They may be looking for that, and that's absolutely fine. Here are just some questions for you guys to start with a little bit. Why do they want out of title? This is really important. A lot of people don't ask that. I want the money. Well, why do you want to go out of title? I want the money. Why do you want to go out of title? I want the money. Yeah, that's not the answer, okay? We can get you the money with or without going out of title. You want the money, and so you decided that going out of title is the way that you get the money. That's what you're answering, right? And so you really need to find out why. Sometimes it's, I'm moving to Kansas City, sometimes, there's just different reasons, and we need to find out why they want to go out of title. Next thing that you always have to ask, if I give you your full price in cash, what are you going to do with the money? If this is, like I said, we're not talking about houses you live in. If this is a property held for investment and you do not ask your client what they're going to do with the money when you sell the listing, you probably failed the competence test according to the Real Estate Commission. Because, well, I don't know in here, but generally, if the people pay taxes, and they didn't know they had the option, if they're gonna go buy another property, and they did not know about 1031, you did not do your job, okay? So if you're selling an investment property, all of these are just my opinions. You must ask them what they're gonna do with the money, and you must make them aware that they have alternatives that will be better with after-tax dollars than just selling it for money and paying the taxes. If they say, screw you, I just wanna sell it and pay the taxes, if it's something that's gonna sell for cash, sell it for cash, okay? And that's another thing I want everybody to understand. Most of the deals that I do, 80 or 90% of them end up still being regular traditional deals, okay? They're not all exchanges. A lot of them end up being discount sales, but most of them end up still being traditional deals when it's all said and done, okay? So we have to do our job on each front and make sure that we're getting it done right. Who are they, is what I like to ask, and where are they going, okay? This group doesn't have as huge disparities in age as usually they do, but you know, basically the 30-year-old person and the 70-year-old person, even the same person at 30 and 70, okay, are different people. I know John's commented to me before, he says, shit, when I'm 25 years old, that free and clear subdividable land is my #1 choice, and that's what I do all day long. He's now about 70 years old, that ain't what he's looking to do anymore, okay? So we're different people. So I'd recommend every year or so, if you've got a client who is a long-term client, you bring this thing out again and talk to them about it every year or two and say, how about now? How do you feel about those things now? And the list will change because they're different people. Where are they going? Another thing is why, but where are they going? What are you going to do? Where are you going to be in 10 years? Do you want to have more real estate? You want to have less real estate? Are you retiring? Or are you a young person? What are you going to do? And what benefits do you seek? That's the key, okay? What benefits are you seeking in this transaction? If you can counsel and get the people to really get you that, you can come to an exchange meeting and you can find that set of benefits. And that's the key to what we're doing here. There's an internet out there, and this is the thing I want to get everyone's attention back to Exchangor. If you got something, you got cash, and you want to buy property, we love it when you bring your 1031 cash, and I got millions of it we can bring to the meeting and present, and everyone say, oh, here's my number. Well, there's an internet for that. If you got cash, there's an internet for that, okay? If you're going to sell it only for cash, there's an internet for that, okay? That's not what we're talking about here. Now, if someone comes along and gives you cash offer, great, take it, subject to doing something else with the cash. So Alan Friedman, who's sort of the godfather of the Tucson group, unbelievable guy, would not take cash under any circumstances, okay? If you gave him a full price offer in cash for his property, he would say, I will only accept it subject to my ability to find something to take in lieu of your cash. And then he would go shop with their cash and he'd go buy another property. But, it's important to understand that this is different. This is for people who need different sets of benefits for different reasons. Either not an inability to qualify, things like that is where we first start out. Having equities that aren't liquid, things like that are a big part of why people exchange, but also people exchange when money becomes toxic. Okay? When you have such a high tax rate that money is a problem, that's another reason to exchange. Big thing I'm seeing now, and talked to Bill Exeter just yesterday on the phone, or yesterday was reverse 1031s. Okay? How many of you have seen a big uptick in reverse 1031s? Okay, well, yeah. If you haven't noticed because you're not in that arena, but Bill Exeter usually does 1 to 5 a month. He did 12 last week, okay? Why are we doing this? I have a client, here's an example of something not available. We had a KOA campground in Butte, Montana, listed at $3 million. It's under contract right now for $5 million in cash, okay? We listed at $3 million, it's under contract for $5 million, okay? This guy's gotta go find something better than what he's selling, okay? And he's selling a really good asset. So we're going to forward 1031 with him. He's found a property that he'd like. Well, that client, here's another client as well. they've been waiting for that buyer for their RV park, but they went and they got one under contract in Washington on a reverse 1031 because they're afraid when we sell this park and have 45 days to identify, we're not gonna be able to find anything better. And so this is another reason to exchange. If you're worried that you can't find something better than you have, and if your client comes to you and says, you know, if you tell people, you go on a listing, you know, deal where you actually are soliciting a person to say, I want to sell your house, or it's not your house, your commercial property, if, you know, I want to sell this for you, and they say, well, my problem is I don't want to pay the taxes, and I don't think I can buy anything better than what I got. What do I, you know, I've got an 8-cap retail center, what am I going to get that's going to be any better than this? There's a reason to exchange, okay? Don't list the thing for sale, list the thing for exchange, take it to an exchange meeting, see if you can buy something with it. In the meantime, go find what they want to buy and go out and make a cash offer. If they've got enough money to buy it ahead of time without selling theirs, great. If they don't, structure the deal and do a reverse 1031, okay? If they've got something you know will sell, have them, help them find what they want to buy before you sell it. You also, oh, by the way, just got another commission, okay? So that's one of the keys to exchanging. You generally, you know, if you're a residential agent, you're selling houses, as soon as you've done a good job for a client, you gotta go find another client, right? Because you did a good job, you gotta go find. Here we don't, okay? You still got the client, and they're going to the next step, and the next step, and the next step. So this is, you know, get clients for life. You only need 3 or 4 clients, really, and you know, and that's sort of the goal. That's just my. What benefits do they seek? We talked about that. Information leads to deals. That's the whole point here. The more information you have, the more likely somebody's going to get it together and put together a deal. Sometimes it's really weird, esoteric information that does it, and who cares? Okay, this is called the Reno form. This is the one on the NCE website that you can go. You're all members of the local group, so you're members, you're affiliate members, and you can go and fill these things out. So I'm going to go over this thing a bit for us as far as what it is. Alrighty, so I'm just going to go over this quickly to discuss how the form works and why we use this form instead of an MLS listing. Alright, the part that we put up here at the top is what you put on your MLS listing, okay? And it ends at city and state. The price, you don't even put the loan on the MLS listing. You only put the price. And what it is, 28 units on the west side of Colorado Springs. So this did sell for its $3 million. So this is gone. So this is just an old package. Anyhow, what is it? 7 ground level brick fourplexes, good area in Colorado Springs. Okay, so we identify what we have, what the price is. The benefits to the new owner. Go ahead and write them out. Income appreciation, depreciation, amortization, tenants and management in place. This is just an apartment complex. It doesn't have a bunch of other, there's no value add, stuff like that. Here are the numbers that are actually actuals. The debt and the rest of it taken care of. Benefits sought, I was just looking for $1 million. This is all taken care of. What I was talking about with the formula, so motivation. I just said very high, that's a very poor description. That's not how you're supposed to do it. Generally motivation, we want to say, some people put a number in there. That's great, except it doesn't really mean anything. It's good to put in why they're motivated. And just to let you know, if you put a 9 or a 10 in there, a 9 means you're pretty much willing to walk away with it, walk away from it for nothing. A 10 means you're willing to give me money to take it from you. So nobody's really a 9 or a 10, as far as that crazy scale that once upon was made by the Reno people and the rest. Can ads. What I was mentioning before, can ads often make the deal, okay? I can give you an example of a package I've got. I didn't bring it. I thought I was only supposed to be 3. I see people brought more than 3, so I didn't know about 3. But I have a package I'm going to present at SEC that's a $900,000 retail center. Free and clear, great client. As a can ad, she has the KOA campground in Kansas City. She's got the RV park from Howard out in Edgewood. She's got a mini storage here in Albuquerque. She's got another $12 million or more worth of can ads. she can add them if you got something worth taking them. And this is what I'll talk later about can ads versus will ads. She's looking to move the retail center, okay? Somebody may say, hey, what I really want is that mini storage in Rio Rancho. And what I've got, and I'll even pick on Howard because he's not here, he's got an $8 million office building in Illinois. And he really wants that. Well, can we make a deal? Maybe. But what he's after is the can ad, not the package. So it's good to put in the can ads what else you have, but try to put things that they will add. So a lot of times, so somebody may have a $100 million shopping center free and clear. It is a can ad, but it's not a will ad because they're never, ever, ever getting rid of it. Remarks. I really like it when people actually write something in the remarks and say what we're trying to do here. So this client is coming from point A and trying to get to point B. Let's talk about what they're doing. It gives just a little bit more meat, because you guys know when you flip through the book and it's blank on it except a few numbers, you're like, here's this kind of a property in this neighborhood. Flip, okay? Because it's just like going through, any Craigslist or one of them, you're just going through listings and you're clicking it. Now when it's got remarks and it talks about the widow's need to move to San Diego, well, now you got something that sticks in your head a little bit. And I just think that kind of stuff's important. All right, packages are not just properties. Packages are sets of benefits. And that's what this before is. Make sure you understand each part of the package form, including the benefits offered, okay? Tell us what you're offering as far as benefits. Pretty is not a benefit. Just like cash. Pretty can end up with benefits, making benefits, but just like cash, it's not a benefit. Know how to input into the system. If any of you have questions, that's another job we'll stick Erica with. She's not in here to defend herself. So, anyhow, if anybody doesn't know how to input in the system, please talk to one of the more experienced members as far as getting it in, because there are a couple of janky things about the website. Provide as much info as you can. Most important, you must have a listing or control. Please don't ever bring a package to an exchange meeting if you don't have an exclusive right to sell listing, or a contract to buy it, or an option, or a leasehold, any of the things that we actually call control. Okay, when I say present the people an opportunity as well as the property, but mostly the benefits. When we do the discussion, generally we talk about the property. This is the order of the moderation. The property, the people, the problem, the opportunity, and the solution or the brainstorm, which you say, problem and opportunity in real estate are synonymous. So some people say situation and doing stuff, but mostly what we care about is the benefits. Why do we want this? Again, we want to know why we want your package, the benefits in your package. We don't care what you want. We want to know why we want yours, and we want that set of benefits. Be prepared to provide backup information. It's good if you have your APOD and everything else, and cash flow analysis worksheet and everything else you got ready to give somebody if they really have interest in the property. I'm terrible with that, so, nobody's perfect. And when you go to the podium, bring your piece of paper with you for a couple of reasons. One, so you can remember what you wrote on the piece of paper. The other is to write down your numbers so that in the future, when you go back to your notebook, you can look at that piece of paper and remember, oh yeah, I forgot to talk to Tom Banner who put his number in on my package. I better give him a call. All right. Can ads are other things that the client owns. So a question, a famous Exchangor question is, or it's really a lender question, is what else do you own? Okay? Very important to know. And if someone does a deal, will you contribute that to a deal? It's a can ad, we know, because you told us you have it. Is it a will ad? Meaning, will you actually add it to a deal? Then there's a must take. A must take is a will add that is very insistent. So usually that would be the package itself. It says, I will give you this $1 million, but you must take this $250,000 piece of dirt that I hate. Okay? That would be a must take. And so generally the can ads are gonna drive the way a must-take gets taken care of, because usually it's what else are you gonna give me to take this thing? And this is where I guess I'll give the old bag of dog poo story I tell people. I say poo because I'm trying to be good. Is, you know, if I got a bag of dog poo and I say, hey man, you know, Rick, you want it?
No.
Then no, I don't want it. Okay, but then if I reach in my pocket and I take a $50 bill to that bag of dog poo and I head over to you, you're probably gonna take it, aren't you? Yeah. He didn't want the bag of dog poo. He wanted the $50 bill I had to take to him to get him to take it. And he's just gonna take it and he's gonna throw it away. Now I could certainly throw it away, and you know, it's a poor example because I could just throw it away. But my whole point is, you know, like I said, why'd you lie to me, Rick? You know, you said you didn't want that bag of dog food. You do, because you want the $50 bill, right? Yeah. And so, anybody, you know, when we have a must-take, undesirable property, that's the best thing for a person who wants money, or best thing for a person who needs an opportunity or a job, is what are they going to give you to take that? And if somebody takes a $50 bill to a bag of dog poo, everybody in the room takes it, okay? And so, if you're in the business of distributing bags of dog poo, you know the formula, right? And so sometimes we might end up with a subdivision out in the desert that might kind of seem a lot like a whole bunch of those bags, okay? Because nobody's going to want it right now. But someday it's going to have value, and really it's what else you're going to add to it. So that's just sort of the key to exchanging, and or some of those kind of deals with the can ads. Sometimes the will out can drive the deal. Cash always makes a great can ad. Whether you're willing to spend it or not, you can, okay? So you go, if you got $500,000 sitting in the bank, go ahead and put $300,000 as your can ad. You're probably not going to spend it unless you really find something that you want to take the money out of your savings account and go buy. But you can. And so again, you might find the person with that, you know, with what you want, and that you can basically bribe them with money. And you can always create paper to add to a deal. So how many people, when I say the term create paper, say, what the hell are you talking about? There, thanks Scott for saying what the hell are you talking about. So we can write promissory notes and deeds of trust, okay? We need to be a principal, so us as brokers, we need to be mortgage lender to actually write them, unless it's our own thing. But basically, anytime we want to, we can create debt against anything we have and give somebody a promise to pay secured by that thing that we have. And we can add that to any deal, okay? So if you've got 100,000 equity in a duplex that's got 200,000 debt that's worth 300,000, you can always create paper against that equity. You may not want to because you think you're over leveraging, but you can always do it. So that's just what I want to say, is that you can always create paper as a candidate. So when we get to the deal and you can't balance the equities and you need $50,000 more, please just create paper against one of the properties that's involved in the transaction, and then you'll get the deal done.
Hey Blake, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Since you've created a lot of paper in your career, what terms is the most attractive for an investor?
That's the, so James asked in creating paper, what terms are the most attractive? That's sort of the, my smart ass answer is, how long is the piece of rope? Right? To not be facetious about it, what I generally do is I make 6% interest only notes because they're real easy to debt service and the math's real easy. And if people say, I don't like 6%, okay, well, shoot. How about 11? You like 11? Is that really like 11? Okay, so if we do a 6% note for 2 years and we discount it 10%, we can give you an 11% yield for 2 years. So that makes that paper that's not written as pretty more pretty, right? Because you bought it at the right price. So what is most attractive paper? You haven't finished one, 24%, 10-year amortization, you know, but nobody's going to pay that. So the lender always wants more, and the borrower always wants less. And so it's going to be a balance in between. And you are going to find now where you couldn't before, where you will get people to take notes at bank type 2, 3, 4% rates, which never used to happen. But you'll also find people willing to give 14, 16, 18% notes under certain circumstances as well. So it's what's appropriate for the deal. Probably the best note is one that's got a good debt service coverage ratio, has a good signature, has a good piece of property, and makes sense. Because if it's too high interest, it's probably less secure. It's probably not as good. So a lower interest rate sometimes is a better note, just because of the cash flow debt service. So, but that's a great question, because it's exactly like the value perception chart. We could send out a thing with terms on notes, and everybody in here probably come with a little bit different as far as what they thought was best. Because like Glenn next to you, Glenn might decide has something, he wants a balloon in 5 years. He may decide he's gonna live a long time. He needs 20 years of regular retirement money, And it just depends on what Glenn needs or wants with it as far as making it more desirable to him. And this is why we communicate, okay? And there's a perfect example of, Glenn's a person who needs to decide what he wants, and let you know, and then if you structure it, it'll work. Yes, Frank?
I'm sure you put it on, I know you do, on vacant land,
course.
non-performing asset, and do you like keep an LTV that real low, so the taker isn't that nervous about it?
Well, there's also the personal guarantee, okay? The collateral is one aspect of it, but there's also the personal guarantee. So the collateral, when you're talking about a piece of land that doesn't have income, what's the loan to value is what's going to matter. If it's a 50% loan to value and you personally guarantee it and you have enough income to make the debt service, most anyone's going to take it. And in fact, some people might take it and say, well, hell, I hope he defaults.
Right.
Don't do it that way, because if they know ahead of time that that's why you did it, then they don't owe you money, okay? The penalty for predatory lending is forgiveness of debt, okay? So don't ever lend intending to get the property. Just get the property, okay? just tell them you want to buy it and take it back directly. But yeah, I very often, in fact, I have $1,250,000 note I'm offering on secured by $2.3 million worth of land, 6% interest only, and yeah, that's something that I do on a regular basis. So that's a good way of acquiring land as well, is with paper. And yeah, we'll go through some other formulas that I have for dealing with land and paper. But yeah, when you're talking land, it's going to be loan to value. When you're talking income property, it's going to have to do with the income. In any event, it's generally the personal guarantee. If somebody wants non-recourse and they're not an IRA, wonder, okay? IRAs have to have non-recourse. Individuals don't. If somebody's not willing to personally guarantee the note, just my own personal feeling, just don't do it. I know that goes against what they teach you in making an LLC inside of an LLC class.
Say that again, on the paper you create.
Yeah, on the paper I create, I give a personal guarantee.
Okay.
And I'd also request that unless it's an IRA or some reason it has to be non-recourse like a trust, otherwise the personal guarantee is the value. The collateral is just the extra thing you get.
I got a reason for asking you that.
Why?
Because I'm going to present a deal to you.
Okay, good. Identify takers. Okay, that's why we're here. Okay, the primary reason that we come to meetings is to identify takers for our client's property. Now, I would say our client, sometimes we can be the client. I'm my client part of the time. But the goal is to find takers for your property. This is the primary function of meetings. Who can find a way to take this property under some terms and conditions, okay? Back to the bag of dog poo, okay? Who's gonna take it and under what terms and conditions? I bet if I went in here and did a Dutch auction, I bet I could get rid of that bag of dog poo for $1, right? Because people are gonna say, yeah, 50, I'll take 40, I'll take 30, I'll take 20, 10, hell, I'm just taking it to the trash can. So, anyhow, who can find a way to take the property under some terms and conditions? I get a little side talking about. If you've got a piece of land, for instance, like Frank's talking about, how can you take this? And well, I can't take it with a note or with cash because it's not making any money, and I don't, it's just currency. It's just going to sit there and hold its value. But how can I take a piece of currency? Like if I had a bunch of money that I couldn't spend, well, shoot, I can take it for something that I've got. So how could I take Frank's piece of land? Well, I got a bunch of houses and duplex in Belleville, Illinois I don't want. And I got some equity in there. if Frank brings the money for the rest of it, I'll take that piece of land. That's how I can be a taker for that piece of land that I wasn't looking at. So, once again, every single property, we need to ask, who can find a way to take this under certain terms and conditions? And I would put it out there, it's a little philosophical, but everyone can take every property under some terms and conditions. So every property that's presented here has 50 takers under some terms and conditions. Now, John McFadden said the only way I take that, you give me $1 million in gold bullion. That's his answer. He's still a taker if you give him $1 million in gold bullion with it, okay? So it's, let's just go ahead and say, they're ridiculous. If the offers are ridiculous that you're getting, maybe your presentation is, we should not care what they're takers with or why. The first step is to find a taker, okay? So if somebody comes and says, Frank, I'll take your piece of land, you say, hallelujah. How do we go to contract? And they say, yeah, well, you're gonna have to buy these places in Belleville. And he said, oh man, my guy won't do that. But I'm still gonna go ahead and say we're gonna accept this, subject to finding something in lieu of what you offered me. So now Frank's got a piece of land, but guess what else he gets to bring to the Albuquerque meeting? He'll get to bring a whole bunch of houses in Illinois and say, hey, can I find a taker for these? If I can find a taker for these, and now he does have control because he's got an agreement. If I can find a taker for these, I get to close 2 deals. And with yours, 3. And so we'll get a multiple leg. Once we've identified one or more potential takers, we can get to work, okay? And that's when the work begins, it's not when it ends. We go to these meetings, we get the taker, we get started, then we go put together the deal. Many times the deal doesn't close looking like it did when you brought it up at the meeting, okay? But it does get started, and that's when we get to work. All right, so I will, I think, spare you now. Why I put this out here was to get us to talking about identifying the takers. But everybody, we can have a break now. What time is it? 10 after 10. Let's give us about a, 15, 20 minute break.